All right, hello and welcome everyone. It has been a hot minute since we've done one of these fight predictions. This COVID-19 has been wreaking havoc on the sports world. There is not much going on, but finally we have got some news. UFC 249 will be going down this Saturday. Thankfully, we've got something to look forward to because it has been absolutely boring with nothing to watch. I mean, I guess everybody's been crushing that Tiger Kings, and everyone is now crushing the Last Dance documentaries. Other than that, same old, same old. But we are so fortunate and blessed that the UFC is going to be providing us with some entertainment this weekend. And surprisingly, they have found a venue for this. It's going to be going down at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida. Florida has been the only state so far to declare that they are going to be opening up for sports. They have deemed sports an essential. So they're going to push forward with this and see how it's done. Of course, this is going to be an empty arena. There's going to be no viewership or people there to see it. This is going to be strictly on the pay-per-view, which it should make for a interesting show, right? You know, it's going to be kind of weird because, well, let's just face it. Anytime you are doing form of competition, there's usually this kind of energy in the air, and fighters usually or even not necessarily just fighters, but athletes themselves use that energy to feed off of it. You know what I mean? uh we'll see exactly how this goes. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be I think it'll be all right. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, these guys are athletes and they are compete with one another, so they really don't need the crowd to be there. But I think it'll just overall make it look like it's strange on the be watching it on TV. You know what I mean? Without that buzz in the air. But I'm sure once they start trading punches and kicks, you know what I mean? No one's really going to be paying attention. Everyone's going to be locked into the fights, right? So that'll be good to see. I'm curious to see exactly how many people will be there, because I know that there had been restrictions before on how many people can be at the venues. So it'll be interesting to see if we will have judges in the arena as well. Maybe these judges will be watching from their home. I'm not too sure. There hasn't been too many details exactly about how everything is going to get played out. I don't even know if the fight commentators will be live there in the arena as well. They could be doing commentary from home. You know, in this day and age, we don't really need to have people together to get a show up and running. I mean, it sure as hell would make things easier if everybody was in-house, but we'll see. We don't know. Anyways, enough about this whole COVID thing. I've taken a look at this fight card here, and wow, let me tell you, after having no fights for so long, it is going to be it's a very loaded card. Even the prelims are very exciting. I mean, they are not giving us any boring fights. I think there are many potential fight of the nights to be had here. I think you know, just coming off of the main card here, I mean, obviously everybody wants to see Ferguson Gaethje. You know, everybody wants to see Cejudo Cruz, right? And I mean, the one fight that I'm most looking forward to is this heavyweight fight between Rozenstruik and Francis Ngannou. Somebody is going to go to sleep in that one, you know? And that's just the main card right there. I mean, we even got Jerry Stevens versus Calvin Kattar. We've also got Greg Hardy versus Jan DaCosta. I think that Hardy versus DaCosta is going to be much like the Ngannou and Rozenstruik fight. I think it's going to be a hell of a barn burner. Somebody is going to go to sleep in that fight as well. And on the prelims here, I mean, they are giving us more and more fights. You know what I mean? The prelims are going to start off with Ryan Spann versus Sam Aliva. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Aliva too much, but I do know he is a striker. Spann is a guy that is a submission expert himself. He's also coming off of a knockout victory over Little Nog, right? Which is a big name. We've also got Charles Rose versus Bryce Mitchell. I mean, that's another fight where I don't know much about these two individuals, but they both are sporting a record of 12 wins. It looks like that could be another barn burner. We've also got Vincent LeCue versus Nico Price. You know what I mean? Price is a young up and comer. Should be another great scrap. Another scrap that I'm really looking forward to is Uriah Hall versus Jacare. That's going to be another potential probably knockout of the night right there. It should be one hell of a fight. The Vegas odds makers got that one close to one another. We've also got Carla Esparza versus the Karate Hottie Watterson. We've also got Oleinik versus Fabricio Verdum. That is going to be probably one of the more boring fights of the night, but it's going to be one of the more highly technical fights. Both these guys are high-level submission experts. And of course, to end the prelims is Anthony Pettis versus Donald Cerrone. Y'all watch this show before, y'all gonna know how much I love Donald Cerrone. It's good to see him back in the octagon, and hopefully he can get that dub this time. Anyways, I usually come out and give this a rating before the fight. And just because it's been itching for so long, we're gonna give this a 6 stars out of 5. That's right, folks, we're gonna go above the 5-star system. We're giving it a 6 out of 5. I'm expecting fireworks, and let's just face it, I'm just fucking giddy to have some fights finally to watch and discuss. All right, let's break down some fights here and give you some of my fight predictions. All right, to kick off these prelims, we have a fight between Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey. This is your classic striker versus jiu-jitsu fighter. Spann being the Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner and Sam being the striker. Now, Ryan Spann has a notable win over Rodrigo Nogueira, aka Little Nog. For you that don't know, Nogueira is a legend of the sport. He's had some epic battles in the past in Pride, right? Never really transitioned over well into the UFC, even though he has some early fights in the UFC, and we're talking like early UFC. But needless to say, big win for Spann. I think this is going to be a very slow-paced fight. However, Vegas odds makers have this fight going to Spann with the minus 450. Both these men are pretty similar in height. Spann is the bigger of the two individuals. He'll be coming in with a 3-inch height advantage, and he'll also have a 3.5-inch reach advantage. Going into the stats, as you can see, there's not much to be deciphered by this, other than one's a striker, one's a sub guy. So I'll be looking for Spann to take this to the ground, and looking for a submission win over Sam. Both these gentlemen have a decent records. Ryan has a 17-5 record with 4 TKOs and 11 submissions, and Sam is currently sitting at 33-13 with 19 KOs. So, you know, Ryan's gonna have to be careful of Sam's hands. He's got some KO power. As you can see, he has quite the knockout record for himself. However, Sam himself is coming off of 3 losses, so he's looking for a bounce back fight here, and we'll see if he can get that done. He is fighting with Team Quest, so you know, I'd expect him to have been trained up here very much so. However, like I said, if I was going to be betting on this fight, I would go with Ryan. Just mainly, I think he's going to be able to take this fight to the ground and sub Sam. All right, so for the second fight of the prelims, we have Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rose. This is going to be a high-level jiu-jitsu match. Both these men possess high-level submission abilities. This is going to be, for the most part, a pretty even matchup. The only difference between the two is, from what I can see from the numbers, is that Bryce has the better accuracy when it comes to throwing strikes. However, that being said, Bryce does not have no TKO victories, only submission victories. In fact, Bryce is currently sitting at a 12-1 record with no KOs, 9 sub wins. If we look at Charles' stats, he's got record of 12-3. He has got 3 TKOs and 8 submission victories. So one would believe that Rosa has some KO power in his hand, but he is not a striker. It'll be interesting to see if this match turns into a striking match, and if so, who will be the first one to attempt the takedowns? Because if we go back to the stats, the takedown accuracy would actually favor Charles. This is going to be an interesting match, folks. Vegas odds makers have this one very close. They've got this one for Bryce at a 155. The only thing that I can, the one thing that I would choose to look at, I guess, would be that Bryce is currently sitting at a 3-fight win streak. Charles is coming off of a 1-fight win. He lost his other one there, so he's currently in his last 2 fights, 1-1. I believe in his last 3, that would make him 2-1. That being said, Charles does fight out of American Top Team, right? And American Top Team is known to have high-level assassins. High-level assassins. I mean, they are just killers coming out of that camp. I don't know much about Bryce's team, Barda MMA, but you never know what's going to happen here. Hard to pick fighters just basically as they come out of their camps, but if anything leads me to pick a winner for this one, I'm going to go with Charles Rose. I think mainly because he's got a chance of knocking out Bryce. Bryce has not been KO'd in any of his fights, but we're gonna go with Charles for the submission win. I think he'll probably beat him up a little bit, drop him to the ground. But I could be wrong. This is like one of those 50-50 fights, you know what I mean? But I think this is going to be a jiu-jitsu match. And if we're lucky, we'll see somebody get KO'd. Okay, so fight number 3 in the prelims is Vincent LeCue versus Nico Price. This fight is going down in the welterweight division. As for the tail of the tape, both these men are coming in pretty close to the same height. Price is 6 feet. Vincent is 5'11", so there's only an inch difference there. As for reach, Nico has got a half-inch reach advantage on them. The only numbers that really stick out between the two fighters, it would be both the significant striking accuracy and the takedown accuracy, and both those go to Vincent. Vincent sitting at 54 for his striking and sitting at 50 for his takedown defense, whereas Price is only sitting at 34% for his striking and a measly 24% for his takedowns. That being said, both these guys, as for their stats, their last 5 fights, Vincent is sitting at 4-1. He's coming off of a loss to Stephen Thompson. He lost unanimous decision. As for Nico's last 5 fights, he is 3-2, and he is 1-1, lost 1, 1-1, lost 1, and he is coming off of a victory versus Vic, TKO, and in fact, his last 3 wins are from TKO. Now, the interesting thing here is that these guys are listed. Vincent is listed as a striker, which is obvious, and Nico is listed as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighting style, except his record would lead you to believe differently. Nico has got 14 wins, 3 losses, and he is sitting with 10 KOs and 3 submission wins. So that was kind of interesting to find out. Vincent McHugh, on the other hand, he has got 9 KOs, 6 submissions. So this guy is a very well-rounded fighter. He can keep it to the feet. He can take it to the ground. He is good everywhere. And as so many Brazilian fighters are, they are just so well-rounded. And just in this day and age, you have to be. It is mixed martial arts. No longer just style versus style. So with that being said, folks, I'm going to go and pick Vincent for the W here. I think this is going to be a stand-up war, and I'm going to go with Vincent with the KO. So our 4th fight for the prelims is Uriah Hall versus Jacare Souza. This is going to be your classic striker versus jiu-jitsu match. As for tail of the tape, both these gentlemen are coming in with same height. Well, not the exact same. Jacare is 1 inch taller than Uriah Hall. As for the reach advantage, there is a bit of a discrepancy here. Uriah has got a 6-inch reach advantage over Jacare, which is going to present some problems for the jiu-jitsu guy that needs to shoot in and take down Hall. That being said, surprisingly, Jacare has got some decent hands on him. He has got when it comes to the significant strike numbers between the two fighters, Jacare is only 4% lower than Uriah Hall. Uriah sitting at 50%. Jacare is sitting at a surprisingly 47%, right? So I mean, even better than 3% difference between the two fighters. And both these men have takedown numbers that are pretty much mirror one another, right? Takedown for Uriah Hall is 38%, and well, here, we'll go down to the actual point percentage numbers here. Takedown for Uriah is 38.89%, where Jacare is sitting at a 38.46%. So as you can see, takedown accuracy, both these men are pretty close to one another. Vegas odds makers have this for Jacare sitting at minus 130. Now, as for Uriah Hall, his last 5 fights, he's sitting at a 3-2 record. He currently is on a 2-fight win streak. As for Jacare is 2-3 in his last 5 fights, and he is currently sitting on a 2-loss win streak. So Jacare will be probably a little bit on the cautious side here. He definitely needs to get back into that win column, and because of that, I'm gonna give this fight to Uriah Hall. Hall is back on his groove here. He's got a 2-fight win streak going, and I know he'll be looking to put on a dominant performance here so that he can kind of get his name back into the mix for the middleweight contention here. Uriah Hall, obviously everyone knows he's got some KO power. Jacare himself has got some hands, so I am kind of expecting this to start off fighting, and then depending on how well Jacare is handling the power of Hall, he may choose to take this down to the ground, which obviously would showcase Jacare's strength. Jacare is a world-class jiu-jitsu practitioner. In fact, he has got 14 submission victories under his belt. Both these men have impressive records. Uriah Hall has less experience than Jacare. Uriah sitting at 18-9 victories, and Jacare is sitting at 26-8. So I definitely understand as to why Vegas odds makers would give this fight to Jacare, but my gut instinct is saying Uriah Hall is going to get the KO victory in this one. Prelim fight number 5. We have got a bout in the women's strawweight division. We have got Carla Esparza versus the karate hottie Michelle Watterson. Tail of the tape, both these ladies are coming in relatively the same height. We've got a 2-inch height advantage of Watterson over Carla. As we go down, the reach advantage would be going to Carla with a 1-inch reach advantage. Both these women fight in an orthodox stance. As for the striking accuracy, Michelle Watterson's accuracy is 13% higher than Carla's. As for the takedowns, that also goes to the Watterson as well. Both these women have same record in their last 5 fights, that being 3 wins and 2 losses. However, as for Michelle Watterson, she is coming off of a loss to Joanna Jacek. But previous to that, she was riding a 3-fight win streak. So she'll be definitely looking to get back onto her winning ways. And as for the last 3 people that she fought and has gotten victories over, we've got Casey, Felicia Harding, and Carolina Kolowozniak, I believe her name is. I always butcher some of these names. It's terrible. I know. As for these gyms and camps that both these females come out of, Watterson comes out of Jackson Wink MMA, obviously top team over there. I am not too familiar with Team Omea, but let's face it, both these women are killers. They both have got some great records. In fact, I would put them pretty much exact same records. They kind of like mirror one another. Carla is sitting at 66, Watterson sitting at 17-7. They both have got 3 KO victories. The difference between the two of them, though, is that Michelle Watterson has got the more prolific, I'd say, submission skills. She's got 3 sub wins over Carla's 4. That being said, I'm gonna go and pick Michelle Watterson for this fight. It's not a knock against Carla. I've got nothing but respect for her. She is a great fighter. I am just basing this victory off of the who's who as to who Waterson has fought. Waterson has been fighting, my opinion, the top of the food chain recently, right? And until her loss against Joanna, she was on quite the tear. So I expect her to bounce back. I know that she'll be wanting another crack at Joanna Jacek soon, because she was kind of outclassed in that fight, and she'll be definitely looking to bounce back. So I'm gonna go and say Waterson is going to get the KO victory here. I think she's show off her striking skills, because well, let's face it, she's going to run into Jacek again at some point in her career, and she is going to have to show that she has improved her striking game exponentially. So fight number 6 for the prelims is a heavyweight bout between Aleksei Oleinik versus Fabricio Werdum. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. This is kind of a battle of the journeymen, we'll call it. This is going to be a straight up jiu-jitsu match. I think both these men are not going to be looking to trade punches with one another, but you never know. Fabricio might decide to try and stand there and box with Aleksei, but I expect this fully to be pretty much a straight up jiu-jitsu match, and I'm not going to be mad at that. I mean, both these guys are world-class jiu-jitsu practitioners. These guys have amazing mission skills. What makes this interesting is both these men are at the ripe age of 42 years old, right? I think the only thing that's going to difference is who is the better conditioned athlete at this point. I mean, both these guys have the exact same skill set. I mean, I guess if we were to look, Aleskei's got so many more professional fights than Werdum. I mean, this is how crazy Aleskei's fucking record is. He is currently 58-13 with a 1 draw. He has got 6 KOs and a staggering 48 submission victories. In fact, his last fight, he came away with a sub win, right? I believe it was over Green, and yeah. He was able to weather the storm in that fight. You know, he didn't look the best, didn't look the most conditioned, but enough to get the job done. As for Werdum, he is unfortunately coming off of a loss in his last fight. He got KO'd by Volkov. But, I mean, he's another guy that's got like half decent cardio. Weight, looks like they are pretty much the exact same. I think Aleskei's going to be coming in just a couple pounds heavier. In fact, maybe about 7 pounds heavier than Werdum. They're currently listed at 138 versus 131 pounds. So it'll be interesting to see the conditioning between the two athletes. It'll be interesting as to who will be looking to take this to the ground. I think Werdum will be looking to keep this standing. I think Werdum has got confidence in his boxing skills, where Aleksei will be looking to probably grind him out on the cage and take him down eventually and look for that sub win. However, if I have to pick a winner between the two here, I'm gonna go with Oleski, just based off of his last fight with Green. There, he was able to kind of like weather the storm, take a little bit of a beating, but eventually pull through and get that sub win. So we're gonna go with Oleinik for the dub here. But needs to say, I think this is going to be another one of those very high skill level fights. I mean, it won't definitely be the most exciting fight in the world, but it'll be an entertaining one, needless to say. Okay, so our last fight of the prelims is a very exciting fight. I'm surprised that this did not make it to the main card, but at the same time too, I ain't mad at it. We have got Cowboy Donald Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis. This one's going down in the welterweight division, and I'm gonna be honest, this one is kind of hard to pick a winner between the two. Both these gentlemen have world class ability, right? Anthony Pettis was a champion in the WEC, I believe it was. And Cerrone, unfortunately, has never been able to capture gold. In fact, Cowboy put on a well, not that he didn't put on a good performance. He just got worked over pretty quick in his last fight against Conor McGregor. Anthony Pettis himself, I believe, is coming off of a loss. And they actually were on the same card. However, this is going to be one of those, which fighter shows up. And I know, like, usually it's more so that these fights kind of like, obviously the best fighter wins, but what I'm getting at, it's more so, I think, who is mentally there and who's not mentally there. Because as of late, when it comes to Anthony Pettis, he's been all over the map, and I don't know if it's training or the camp or the people he's with, but he seems to be he wins one, he loses one, wins one, he loses one, right? Up and down, right? He gets big wins versus guys like Chiesa, and then he loses to Ferguson, which, I mean, everybody loses to Ferguson, so I'm not gonna hold that against him, you know what I mean? But like, put on his poor performance against Ferreira in his last fight, didn't do much in that Diaz fight, and looked like a world beater against Stephen Thompson, right? So it's a question mark when it comes to Pettis, but at the same time too, you can say the exact same thing for Donald Cerrone, right? In fact, recently Cerrone came out and said that he wasn't in the right space to be fighting a Conor McGregor, right? And at this point, both these gentlemen are more so gatekeepers than actual top level contenders, right? And it's a shame to see, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, these guys are kind of over the hill in their career. But that being said, if both these guys are both right in the head, this has the potential to be fight of the night. And, it's just a matter of what fighters we're going to see show up. As for your records in the last 5 fights, both these gentlemen are supporting a same record of 2 wins, 3 losses. Anthony Pettis is coming off of back-to-back losses. Cerrone is coming off of 3 L's, unfortunately. Cerrone, though, he's always fighting top-level contenders, and it always seems to be the top tier. He just seems to not be able to crack through for whatever reason. And it breaks my heart because I am such a huge fan of Cowboy. His last 3 losses, McGregor, Gaethje, and Ferguson. And like I said, those are 3 individuals that are top of the food chain. That being said, though, I'm going to go and pick Cowboy for the win here. He needs to get back into the win column. And I think he is more so motivated to fight now than he has been in a while. But, like I said, I think this has the potential to be fight of the night. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and hope that both these guys are doing right. And, you know, put on a hell of a goddamn show. All right, so now we are going to get into the main card, folks. That's right. It's going to start off with a battle of the heavyweights. And the first fight of the pay-per-view is Greg Hardy versus Jorgen De Costa. Okay, so the difference between these two right off the bat is you're going to notice there is a 5-inch height advantage for Greg Hardy, and there is going to be a 14-pound advantage as well. That being said, Greg Hardy also possesses the reach advantage in this with a 5.5-inch reach over Jorgen. Significant strikes. Greg Hardy has got slightly less in that department here. He's sitting at a 49%, where Da Costa is sitting at a 54%. As for takedowns, none of these guys take down. This is going to be a barn burner. Someone is going to sleep in this fight, folks. What makes this interesting is Da Costa is a young up-and-coming fighter, and he is currently sitting with a 6-0 record. In fact, his last 5 fights, he has gotten 4 KOs with a 1 unanimous decision. As for our boy Greg Hardy, Hardy is coming off of a loss to Vulcan, another monster of a man, and in his last 5 fights, Hardy is sitting at 2-2 with a 1 no contest. So clearly Hardy is looking to get back into the win column here. I think Da Costa is in for a hard fight here. I think this is going to be the one fight that tests his skills so far to see exactly where he's at. I mean, not that Greg Hardy is a superstar just yet in the MMA world. I mean, obviously Da Costa's got a better record than Hardy. However, Hardy does possess some big heavy hands, and he's going to be the bigger of the two fighters. So we'll see exactly how Da Costa can handle the height advantage of somebody like Hardy and the weight, to be honest. However, as for picking a winner here, I'm gonna go with Hardy to win this one. I mean, for me, I don't like betting against Da Costa in this one, just because Da Costa is he reps the Portuguese flag, and I'm Portuguese myself, so you know you gotta stick with. I think this one's going to be going to Hardy. Unfortunately, you guys are going to stand there and strike with one another, and I think it's just a matter of who lands the bigger of the two shots, right? Who's obviously the better conditioned of the two. I mean, Da Costa was looking a little bit on the soft side in his last fight, but Greg Hardy is not the picture of like you know, fitness as well. You know what I mean? He is a big individual, and he's got well, he's fit for a heavyweight. So yeah, we're gonna go and pick Greg Hardy with the KO win for this one here. Okay, so our second fight of the pay-per-view event is going to be in the featherweight division. We have Calvin Kattar versus Jeremy Stephens. At this point in Jeremy Stephens' career, he's pretty much a gatekeeper, and nothing's wrong with that. He's going to provide a very, very tough test for Kattar. Both these men have got some all right records. I mean, obviously, like I said, Jeremy Stephens sitting at 28-17. He's got an okay record, but he cannot be overlooked. Calvin Kattar, though, is the up and comer. You know, he's sitting with an amazing record of 20-4. First thing that I notice on the tail of the tape is there is going to be a height advantage for Kattar, a slight height advantage of 3 inches. There's not going to be much of an advantage when it comes to the reach department. In fact, Kattar will have a 1-inch reach advantage over Jeremy Stephens. Both these men's striking numbers are pretty much right on the button. Jeremy's sitting at a 40%, Kattar's sitting at a 41%. There's not really much to take away from both these guys. In fact, even their takedown accuracy is relatively similar to one another. Stephens holds the nod on that one. He is currently sitting at a 38%, and Kattar's sitting at a 33%. Now, that being said, if we look at Jeremy's record in the last little bit, Jeremy's last 5 fights, he has got a 1 win, 3 losses, and a no contest. So Jeremy sorely needs to get back into the win column here. He's been kind of riding a miserable losing streak, but he has lost to some big names out there, Jose Aldo and Zabit Megosherapov, and his last loss coming off to Rodriguez. As for Calvin Kattar, he himself is also coming off of a loss to somebody that Jeremy Stephens had problems with, and it'll be interesting to see exactly how they'll match up, because I mean, I'm sure when it came to Megosherapov as a beat there, Jeremy Stephens had issues when it came to reach, right? Because the beat just so long and so tall for the division. It's quite impressive. Kattar, maybe he'll be able to handle things a little bit better. We'll see, but he's also got a loss to Zabit. And his last 5 fights, he's currently sitting at 3-2. He's got a couple of KO victories in those last bouts, but nobody really big name as of a note. Both these men are strikers, so somebody is going to get KO'd. That's for sure. But if I had to go and pick anybody, I'm going to stick with the Vegas odds makers here, and I would go and select Calvin Kattar for W. Vegas has got him at the minus 260. So the safe bet, Kattar. Okay, so fight number 3 in the main card. I am so pumped for this one. This one for me is the fight I am most looking forward to of the night here. This is going to be a bloodbath. I expect somebody to get knocked the fuck out. These are probably 2 of the scariest strikers in the heavyweight division. Francis Ngannou versus Rozenstruik. Like I said, this is going to be amazing. You know, even when we look at the tail of the tape, there is not much of a difference between these 2 individuals. While there's a little bit of a discrepancy, Ngannou is going to be the bigger of the 2 fighters. Both these gentlemen are coming in at 6'4", However, there's going to be a slight discrepancy when it comes to Ngannou's weight. Ngannou is listed at 258 pounds to Rozenstruik's 242 pounds. The reach advantage is going to go to Francis Ngannou. Ngannou has got a 5-inch reach advantage, which is going to definitely be a big factor in this fight, seeing how both these men are primarily strikers. Both these men fight in an orthodox stance. The significant strikes, though, is going to go to Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik is sitting at a 47% strike versus Ngannou's 38% strike advantage. Both these men are not going to take this to the ground. Like I says, somebody is going to get knocked the fuck out. Francis Ngannou has got a record of 14-3. Rozenstruik's got a record of 10-0. That being said, Rozenstruik is coming off of a amazing knockout of Alistair Overeem with like seconds to go. I think there was like 4 seconds left in that fight, and he was able to land that vicious uppercut, and it split Overeem's lip open. I'm sure everyone has seen that by now. It was horrific shot landed. Anyways, he's pretty much KO'd the who's list over here. In fact, in his last 3 fights, he's knocked out Crowder, Orlovsky, and Overeem. You know what I mean? And in fact, his last 5 fights, 5 fucking KOs. So, like I says, there is no shortage of power in this fight. And now if we go on over and take a look at Ngannou has gotten his last 5 fights. He's sitting with a record of 3-2. He's currently sitting on a 3-fight win streak. And he's got KOs over Dos Santos and Velasquez and Blades. So, man's got some skills. Both these guys are coming out of some pretty decent camps. I'm not too familiar with Rozenstruik's Hard Knocks camp, but I am familiar with Ngannou's Extreme Couture camp. That being said, I really don't know who the fuck to pick in this fight. In fact, Vegas odds makers have this going to Ngannou. He is 280 favored, I guess, because he has got the reach advantage. I would play cautious to this, because I'm pretty sure Alistair Overeem had the advantage on a Rozenstruik. That also being said, I mean, when it comes to the physique too, right? Obviously give it to Ngannou. Ngannou definitely is the physical specimen between the two. But I honestly am having a really hard time picking a winner in this one. I am, however, going to go with Ngannou. I think Rozenstruik is going to have problems with the reach of Ngannou, and if Ngannou can show that he's got some really good boxing skills and put some really good combinations together, and if he fights smart behind a jab, there is no reason that Ngannou can't win this. So I'm going to go and pick Francis Ngannou for the W. Am I confident that someone's going to be put to sleep here? I hope so. But there's also a big chance that those guys come out swinging hard in the first round and they both blow fucking their wads early on, and then this goes to the unanimous decision. So I'm glad that this is only a 3-round fighter and not a 5-round fight. But like I said, this one is going to be absolutely off the fucking chain. But I'm going to pick Francis Ngannou for the KO win. So for our co-main event of the night, this one is going to be a championship title fight for the bantamweight. That's right, we've got Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. Now, it has been a hot minute since we've seen Dominic Cruz in the octagon. In fact, I believe the last time we saw Cruz, it was in a unanimous decision loss to Cody Garbrandt all the way back in 2016. So it has been essentially a 3-year layoff, 3.5 years since we've seen Cruz in the octagon, which I don't know. I've got a bunch of mixed bags behind that. Dominic Cruz obviously is a high-level fighter, very intelligent individual. Love seeing him as a commentator for the UFC, right? He's very articulate, speaks well. But the only thing that is holding Dominic back in this fight that I would see would be a glaring weakness is just that time off. That is an absorbent amount of time to be away from the fighting world, you know what I mean? And like I know he is I know he's a great fighter, and these things kind of like you don't like lose him, but he might have lost a step. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure all the skills are there, you know what I mean? I'm not doubting that, you know what I mean? I'm worried about 3.5-year layoff, right? You know what I mean? Like, what version of Dominic Cruz are we going to get, That being said, I think Dominic Cruz possesses all the skills to beat Henry Cejudo, right? I mean, he is the taller of the two fighters, right? Let's take a look at the tail of tape here. In fact, Dominic's going to be coming in with a 4-inch height advantage. He's also going to enjoy a 4-inch reach advantage, right? I mean, if Dominic decides to keep this fight standing, he's got a very, very good chance of winning. But like I had mentioned earlier, it's the whole time off aspect that giving me some questions. Henry Cejudo, we can't say that he can't strike because he's proven that he can strike. He's got a TKO win versus Morales, which I think everyone thought he was going to lose that fight. That was a very wild fight in which, Morales came out of the, came like a bat out of hell right out of the starting gates. And Henry looked like he was in trouble, but Henry showed that he is a champion and he's able to weather the storm and take care of business. We've also seen him KO TJ Dillashaw, and Dillashaw was on PEDs in that fight, you know what I mean? He was still able to get the KO victory, right? So, it's interesting, this fight. Very, very interesting. Like I says, I think out of all the fights that are going down, this one I'm more curious about. You know what I'm saying? I'm not super excited as I am with the Ngannou fight, you know what I mean? But I am very curious about this one. I think, this is going to be well, thank God this is going 5 rounds. This is going to be a grinding of a fight, I think. I think this is going to be a lot of back and forth action, but we'll see. We just don't know. Just don't know enough about Dominic, right? Dominic's time off is just really giving me a hard time to go and pick Cruz as the champ here. But we're gonna do the scenario. Gun to my head. Who am I going to pick? I'm gonna pick Dominic Cruz for the win. It's going to be an amazing bounce back victory and a well-deserved fight for Dominic. So we're gonna go and pick Dominic Cruz to win this fight. I think this is going to be a win via Probably KO, but we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, this got me kind of puzzled and just scratching my head. Okay, so now for our main event, we have got Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. This is going to be potentially another one of those fight of the nights. This is just as exciting as Ngannou versus Rosenstruck. This is clearly has got a chance to be fight of the night. You know what I mean? I think these guys are going to be. Well, Gaethje is going to definitely start pushing the pace here. This is probably going to be. I mean, this isn't the fight that we wanted to see. Obviously, we all wanted to see Tony Ferguson versus Khabib. But because Khabib is not allowed to leave Russia, I mean, this is the best that we could do in this scenario here. You know, as much as we all need and want to see and need to desperately find out the answer to Ferguson versus Khabib, I still think that Ferguson versus Gaethje is going to be the more exciting of the two. But that being said, you know, like I only say that because of the fighter that Gaethje is, right? I think push the pace where like Khabib, he really wouldn't push the pace. You know, Khabib kind of like takes what's there. You know what I mean? Which is great. I mean, however, this one is going to make for some fireworks. I think these guys are going to give it everything that they've got. Obviously, I don't imagine this one going 5 rounds. I think somebody will get knocked out in this fight. As for the Vegas odds makers, obviously they're going to be going with Ferguson in this one. He's minus 175. As for the tail of the tape height, both these men come in at 5'11". Obviously this is going to be a lightweight title fight. You know what I mean? This is for Tony's interim lightweight. Both these men are orthodox fighters. However, the significant strike accuracy is going to go to Justin Gaethje. He is sitting at a 55%, where Tony is only sitting at a 45%. So just about 10% less than Gaethje. That being said, Tony Ferguson has got some takedown accuracy, where Gaethje's got, well, they've got him listed here with 0%, so no takedowns for Gaethje. But he's got ground skills, right? So, I mean, like, he can take this to the ground, he just will not take it to the ground. And Tony, he'll fight wherever this fucking, wherever the fights take him, right? So, it'll be, it's going to be an interesting fight. It's going to be an amazing fight. Someone is most likely going to get KO'd. Gaethje, in his last couple of fights, his last 5 fights, he's currently sitting at 3-2. He is riding a 3-fight win streak. His last win coming off of a KO of Donald Cerrone in September of 2019. So he has had a little bit of a layoff. It's been a minute since we saw him fight. As for Tony Ferguson, his last 5 fights, he has got 5 wins. And they're anywhere from KOs to submission victories. So yeah, and his last fight was with Donald Cerrone, and that was June. So it's been a hot minute since we've seen Ferguson as well. So I don't think that's going to be a big problem for any of these two fighters. I mean, El Kakui is always doing something, so he's going to be in top shape. And Gaethje is probably training with Cejudo, so those boys have been putting in the work. All right. That being said, though, like I said, we're gonna go with El Kakui for the win. thank you so much for joining me again, guys. It has been a hot minute. It has been almost 2 months since I've put out a video, so it was good to get back and get another one of these done up for y'all. As always, please feel free to leave comments, hit that like video, hit that smash that subscription button, and make sure to stay up to date with me. And yeah, let's fucking get ready for some fights this weekend, y'all. Peace.